Listen carefully, because what is unfolding in the Middle East right now could reshape the balance of power across the entire world. The war with Iran has entered its third day, and one thing is becoming increasingly clear. This is not the short war Washington expected. When the first missiles were launched, many believed this would be a quick and decisive campaign, a swift operation, a demonstration of overwhelming military power that would force Iran to back down. But the reality on the battlefield is telling a very different story. Iran has struck back, and they didn't strike just one target. According to emerging reports, at least 27 military bases and strategic facilities across the Middle East have been targeted, from the massive Incirlik air base to ports and infrastructure throughout the Gulf. This means the conflict has already moved beyond a limited confrontation. It is becoming a regional war, and the consequences are beginning to ripple across the globe. Within hours of the first strikes, global energy markets reacted violently. Oil prices in Europe surged nearly 20% when markets opened. Traders immediately began pricing in the possibility that oil supply from the Gulf could be disrupted. If that happens, prices above $100 per barrel could arrive faster than anyone expects. But the economic shock may only be the beginning, because something else on the battlefield is raising serious alarms. Cheap weapons are defeating some of the most expensive defense systems on Earth. In the United Arab Emirates, inexpensive drones reportedly slipped through advanced missile defense networks. Airfields were disabled, airports temporarily shut down, and one of the world's most important global transit hubs, Dubai, suddenly found itself vulnerable. The impact spread quickly. Millions of foreign workers and business owners across the Gulf suddenly faced uncertainty. Trade routes began to slow. Supply chains began to tremble. But this may only be the opening phase, because Iran appears to be fighting a very different kind of war. They are not trying to win quickly. Their strategy is much simpler. Survive. As long as Iran survives, the strategic equation begins to change. Every additional day of war raises the cost. Missile stockpiles shrink. Political pressure builds. Economic damage spreads. And a critical question emerges in Washington. Was the United States truly prepared for a long war with Iran? Some early indications suggest the answer may be no. Reports suggest the conflict may have begun with an Israeli strike, not a coordinated joint assault. The United States may have entered the war after the opening moves had already begun. And now, Washington is facing the full consequences of escalation. Meanwhile, Iran continues to demonstrate capabilities that many analysts say were underestimated. Their missile systems appear to use decoys and complex countermeasures. Multiple radar signatures appear simultaneously, forcing defensive systems to chase false targets. And while those defenses are distracted, the real missile slips through. It's a simple concept, but on a modern battlefield, it can be devastating. Even Israel's famous Iron Dome defense system is reportedly under intense pressure. Yet if you watch much of the Western media coverage, you would see a very different narrative. A narrative of total control. A narrative of overwhelming success. But outside the Western media bubble, another picture may be forming. A widening conflict, a destabilized region, and a global power balance beginning to shift. Because if this war continues, it will not remain only a conflict between Israel and Iran. Russia is watching. China is watching. Iran is a key partner in emerging geopolitical alliances such as BRICS and China's Belt and Road Initiative. Its survival matters to multiple major powers. And if those powers decide their interests are threatened, the conflict could enter an entirely new phase. Even more concerning are the political consequences inside the region itself. In Iraq, pressure to remove American forces has been building for years. If this war expands, U.S. bases across the region could face increasing political and military pressure. And if that happens, the strategic map of the Middle East could change permanently. Here is the harsh reality. Iran does not need to defeat the United States. Iran only needs to avoid being defeated. If the country survives, and the war drags on, the perception of American and Israeli military dominance could begin to weaken. At the same time, Iran would claim something far more powerful than a battlefield victory. They would claim survival against the most powerful military alliance on Earth. And, in international politics, perception often matters more than victory itself. So, now the world faces a critical question. Will this conflict end quickly, or will it become a prolonged war that reshapes the global order? The answer may already be unfolding in the skies over the Middle East, and the entire world is watching.